With me now, 4 of the new faces who will be in Congress come January. Democrat Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania, Republican Lee Zeldin of New York, Democrat Ruben Gallego of Arizona, and Republican Carlos Curbelo of Florida. Thank you all so much for being here. You even look wide awake.
Thank you, Ken.
Having been through quite a week, it's nice to have you here. I want you, if you can, to step back from your own elections and look at the totality of what happened on Tuesday night. And there seem to be 2 interpretations. One is that voters said, work with President Obama, work together, or stop President Obama. Which message did you all hear from the overall voter message?
Candy, I think there's obviously a lot of frustration with the president's policies. That was obvious in my district. But I think there's also a lot of frustration with gridlock. So I heard both. I heard, the president's policies aren't working. They really aren't helping low and middle income earners climb up the ladder. But they also said, we want Washington to work for us. And the last 4 or 5 years of gridlock haven't been good for the American people.
I think what I heard is that people are sick of Washington. They're sick overall of just the nastiness that's coming out of it. And you saw that the reflection of overall turnout being down, not just among Democrats, but even among Republicans and independents. And what we need to see happen, and what I'm hearing out there, is that they want to see solutions that to come out of D.C. Instead of just more and more rhetoric and just more and more gridlock. And it's questionable if even that's going to happen even at this point.
Certainly a strong frustration with the status quo in my district. People believe that the country isn't heading in the right direction. They also know that it's not too late. I think people believe in America. They believe that there are better days ahead. When you have a balance of power, there's no way for either party to have it 100% of their way all of the time. They want to see liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats sit down at the table, see where you can find common ground to move America forward.
I think part of it, too, at least in my district, but I think this is the case nationwide, is that there's such economic angst and pessimism among the American people. Some of the most pessimistic numbers that we've ever seen. And so that sort of mood, I think, more than anything else, more than any sort of partisan calculation, really has helped drive things. And I think that that sort of pessimistic mood has been around for a while now and will continue to haunt us unless we can get things moving in the right direction.
The thing with the economy, too, and this is the thing that I hear about, is people feel it's getting better. It's just they don't feel it's getting better for them personally. Right. So, we had, what is it now, 28 months of straight employment growth. A lot of people aren't feeling it in their actual pocketbooks. Our problem with income inequality just keeps on growing. I think you saw a lot of reflection in that in this last election, because even though we have just great news coming out of constantly dropping unemployment rate, the fact is people just aren't feeling it yet.
So you heard from voters, we are tired of Washington acting like this and we want Washington to do something. So when you see this week play out and you see the president going, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do my executive order on immigration, and you see Republicans going, no, that's like, lighting a match, that, that will set us off. It's going to be difficult to work with us if you're going to do that. And you hear Republicans saying, well, one of the things we want to do, of course, is continue to try to dismantle Obamacare. Do you just think, whoa, how are we going to make a difference there?
I would say in my district, you use the Obamacare example, whether you're for Obamacare or against it, there are people who want to see improvements made, fixes to see our health care improve. With regards to the president and executive orders, it's important. He is a separate branch of government. We were all elected to serve in Congress. This president has to be very careful in working with his colleagues and Republicans and Democrats in Congress and working with him. There is no way to get things done if your only version of compromise is to have it 100% of your way all of the time. So the tone coming off of the election with regards to the executive order is exactly the opposite of what the American people voted for on Tuesday.
Well, as somebody who represents the Latino, and then obviously you can do the other Latino side of this, but somebody who represents the Latino area, we are very ardent in that we want this executive order to come down. We're very frustrated that a good bill that came out of the Republican and Democratic bipartisan effort, Congress Immigration Reform, has not moved. It's sitting on Speaker Boehner's desk. In the meantime, there's a lot of our families are getting deported. So as I've said even before winning this seat, we do think there should be executive action. We do think there should be administrative relief for our families. At least that is what I'm hearing from my Latino families in Arizona.
Imagine it might be different here.
Yeah, well, look, I think the president should be patient on immigration reform because I think it can get done in this next Congress. And the president has shown to be very patient on this issue because he promised he'd get it done in 2008 during the first year of his presidency, didn't move a finger for it. So I think now to rush into executive action and put at risk the possibility of getting immigration done when Senate Republicans, many have already shown a willingness to do it. And I think in the House Republican Conference, we can also make progress on this issue. I think it would be a major mistake. And I agree with Lee. I think what both the president and congressional leaders should do is go after the low-lying fruit. There are some changes to Obamacare that I think both parties can agree to, and maybe we can start there and set a good tone and then allow, build from there and start working.
But you can begin to see here how difficult it is to get people, because the process sometimes does get in the way. You say, oh, we want to do this, but then you have both sides kind of staking out territory. Let me remind you of this, that in 2 years from now, you will either have or have not run for re-election for office. Between now and then, what do you want to accomplish so that you feel that you go home and say, I did this for you and I want to do it again?
For me, absolutely infrastructure and reinvesting in America. And this is, and the previous panel was talking about this as well, it's amazing to me that we are continuing to fall behind countries in Europe and countries in Asia when it comes to investment in infrastructure. As a state legislator, and I'm a Democrat, I read a verbatim quote from Ronald Reagan when I was on the State House floor talking about why we needed a bill at the state level. We need exactly that same thing at the federal level in terms of roads and bridges and also our transit system, which happens to be profitable, at least here in the Northeast Corridor. Those are the kind of things that there is no ideological fight over the role of government when it comes to infrastructure. So we should, at the very least, be able to forge compromise there.
Well, I think, and Ruben was talking earlier about how unemployment rate was going down. In my area, there are more people working, but they're not making enough to make ends meet. So any way that we can reduce the cost of living, that we can make healthcare more affordable, that we can make our energy costs more affordable, that we can have tax reform. There are so many different ways to move America forward, and any little bit that we could do to help people is progress.
Let me halt the two of you here. I'm going to give you a chance on the other side. When we return, I'm going to have 3 veteran lawmakers, and they might just have a reality check here for the new guard.